Hey guys, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in to episode 3. Just a quick go over what we did with episode 2. We kind of split it up into 2 parts. It was getting kind of long. But in this episode, we are going to do the retracts. And I've come to a little realization I wanted to talk to you about. I know in the first episode I said I was going to do the mechanical retracts. I have a lot of extra nice servos laying around. But I went through and I did that, and I wasn't happy with it. And I've just decided that I really am excited about this plane. I want to fly this plane a lot. I don't want to have a landing gear issue. I don't want to go through all this trouble, see the plane flying, enjoy it, and then have a landing gear issue due to these mechanical retracts. So I decided to just bite the bullet, and I weighed my options of the time spent and effort and money if I were to have a problem with a retract on landing. Let's just go ahead and get the recommended electric retracts. So Legend Hobby has them in stock. I ordered them. They should be here next week. So what this episode we're going to do is I'm going to take the video wing, I guess you would say. I'm going to cut out the wheel well, show you how to do that, make it look as nice as possible. And then since I did the mechanical retract install with that servo, I filmed it on the other wing, so we'll cut to that in case you want to see how that gets mounted, how that servo gets mounted, and how it connects up to the mechanical retract. And I'll show you also how to connect the gear door. And I really want to show that because I was a little bit surprised. When you think of gear doors and you think of a Reno racer, you think, okay, this is going to sit nice and flush, and there is no way for this gear door to sit flush. And if you look closely in the pictures in the manual, you'll see that in fact it's about like almost a 1/4 inch off. So we'll zoom in and I'll show you that. But just wanted to set expectations when you put these gear doors on. So again, we'll cut out the wheel well. We will show you the mechanical retract installs, how that servo gets installed. And it actually gets installed really nicely. But we'll walk you through what I did and didn't do and why I decided to go with the electric retracts. And we'll come back for another episode with the electric retracts and how the gear door is attached to those, because it's you'll use different struts. So thanks for tuning in, and let's go ahead and zoom in. To cut out the wheel well, I used a flashlight to illuminate the wheel well from the inside. This way you can easily see exactly where you need to cut the covering. Next, I used a fine tip Sharpie to trace around the edge. You can see I'm leaving about 1/4 inch to about 1/2 inch all around because I want to leave a good amount of covering to fold over to the edges. So we'll speed this up. But this trick really works out well, so you don't have to guess and you don't have to trace around with a knife. You can exactly see where you need the cut. Now you take away the flashlight and you have a really nice line of where you want to cut, and you really don't have to worry about cutting too much because you gave yourself a little bit of overlap. I used a brand new blade in my X-Acto knife, and here I'm cutting some relief pieces in the covering to start the cut. Here I'm just tracing the black line that I drew to cut around the wheel well. And again, we don't have to worry about being exact here because we're going to be folding over and ironing the covering. So we'll speed this up as I go around the wheel well, but you're just basically cutting out the pattern that you drew with the flashlight. And I'm definitely left-handed because I tried to continue with the right hand and it didn't work out too well. So we'll finish cutting this out and pull away this extra piece of covering. Next, you'll see I'll kind of go around the edges and start establishing the crease for the edges. And this gives you a good idea of that overlap and how that's going to really give you a nice good seam around the wheel well. And there's 2 formers that go through the wheel well. You saw me cut some relief cuts in the covering to go around those formers. And now going around the circle, I'm cutting a relief point in each Around the circle in about 1-inch increments. I'm not measuring, I'm just going around by ear, by eyesight, I guess. But this is going to allow us to fold the covering around and make a nice seam all the way around the circle. Now here I'm cutting out a little bit extra. Now the little triangle part right there, you will need to cut that out if you are using the mechanical retracts. They have a fake oleo. They're oleo, but there's a fake piece that kind of makes it look like a real oleo, even though it doesn't really spring. But if you're using the mechanical retracts, you're going to need this little triangle piece to cut out here. Best way with this method, I found, to cut a relief in each of the corners to allow you to fold that covering over. Here I'm going to break out one of my favorite older tools, the Top Flite trim iron. It's just a mini iron. And what I'm going to do is go around the edge, and I'm just going to start, number one, making that crease with the iron, and then starting to activate the glue on the back of the covering to the edge of the wheel well. Now this is going to take a little bit of extra time. Just be patient and go over it. And you can see how when I first make that crease, not always, the cover doesn't always stick the first time. This will take you a few times to go over the covering to get the seam. You can see me going over a few times around the edges. That's okay. This takes just a little bit of patience. It's not going to take you hours. It's going to take you several minutes, but it does take some patience to get this good. But this tool is really helpful to allow you to get in these creases. Now I'm going to go around just on the inside edge around the whole wheel well first, and then you'll see me go around underneath. The goal with this is to have a complete fold around and glue adhering to the bottom of the sheeting. And this is going to help alleviate, as the model gets older and the covering shrinks due to weather or age, that none of this covering will pull away from the wheel well. I've seen some sort of ugly wheel wells in the past where people have just gone and used an X-Acto knife right around the edge and the covering stops right there. This is just my attempt to get a nice fold around all the way around so we don't have to worry about that in the future. We'll speed this up going around the circle, and again, you can see me going over each one of these pieces multiple times, just giving the iron, letting the iron do its work, spending some time to get a good crease, and then getting the glue to stick to the edge of the wheel well. Also, check out the links in the description. I think they still sell this little trim iron. I will have information on it in the description. And with all the other videos, all the tools and the special accessories I use, I always try to put links in the description, so always feel free to check out any extra info in the description. So here you can see I'm using the top flat portion to actually glue and create another seal or crease on the bottom of the sheeting. So this is effectively wrapping the covering around the edge and adhering it to the bottom. If you're watching closely, you'll see there are some pieces that kind of unstick, and this second time around I'll use the curved bottom, the flat top, all the different sizes and the edges of the trim iron to make the final creases and the ironing of the covering all around the wheel well. And also, if you look closely, you'll see there's some raised bumps around the curve, kind of created by those relief cuts. My goal is to, after everything is installed, the retracts and the wheels, to go over the wing again one final time, and I should be able to get those bumps around the circle part out. And I don't have to worry about the covering peeling back, because like I said, since we're folding the covering all the way around, we should be able to shrink that just enough to get that perfectly flat. And I'll show that in a future video. So just like episode 2, we're going to split up this episode 3 into 2 parts. We're getting a little bit long right here. So this episode is just about cutting this wheel well and showing you how I iron the covering around. And the next episode, I will show you how the mechanical retracts and the servo is installed, how you mount the gear doors to the mechanical retracts, and then the electric retracts did arrive from Legend Hobby, so I will show you how those are mounted, and then how the gear doors mount to the electric retract struts because they're different, and the kit comes with special mounts for that. So I'll show you all of that in the next episode. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in a few days.